Okay, today's lesson is solving systems of linear equations using elimination. And today the elimination is going to require us to multiply. Homework tonight is page 24 in your packet. Please write that down and get started on the warm-up. Pause the video. Okay, so we're going to solve each system for number 1 and number 2 using elimination. And this is set up so perfectly it will eliminate. When I look at number 1, I see that it's negative 1x and negative 1x. So I can just go ahead and add down because negative 1 plus 1 becomes 0x. 2y minus 3y becomes negative 1y. 1 minus 4 becomes negative 3. And divide by negative 1. And I get y equals 3. I'm going to pick up the 3 and I'm going to go to either equation. It just happens to be easier to go into, I don't really know actually, I'm going to go into the second equation. So instead of x minus 3y, I'm going to say x minus 3 times 3 equals negative 4. 3 times 3 is 9, so I've got x minus 9 equals negative 4. I'm going to add 9 to both sides, and that gives me x equals 5. So my ordered pair for number 1 is going to be 5, 3. Okay, for number 2, I look at my coefficients. I have 4, 6, and 8, and then I have 4 and 4. So 4 and 4 are the same, but if I add down right now, that would give me 8. So what I need to do is make one equation negative. I'm going to pick the top one just because I think it's easier because it's got smaller numbers. So I'm going to make that negative. Let's make that brighter. Make it red. Negative 6, negative 4, and this 2 is already negative, so I'm going to make it a positive 2. Let's go ahead and add down. Negative 6 plus 8 is, what do you need, buddy? All right, so negative 6 plus 8 is 2x. Negative 4 plus 4 becomes 0y. Positive 2 and negative 12 becomes negative 10. I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and that gives me x equals negative 5. Now I'm going to take my negative 5, I'm going to plug it back in. It really doesn't matter which equation, I'm just going to use the second one because it's all clean looking. So I'm going to go 8x, now x is negative 5, plus 4y equals negative 12. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40, plus 4y equals negative 12. Add 40, and we get 4y equals 28. Divide by 4, and y equals 7. So my ordered pair for number 2 is negative 5, 7. Now the last problem that's on here, I'm just going to kind of go through a little quicker because honestly, you should have it done already. Emily and Miguel are selling pizza. Emily sold 4 pepperoni, so I'm going to say 4 pepperoni and 25 cheese for $62. 4 pepperoni and 10 cheese for $32. So those are the equations. Pepperoni has the same coefficients. I'm going to change all the signs of the second equation because the numbers are smaller and add down. That gives me 15 cheese equals 30. So that tells me that cheese pizza divided by 15 costs $2 for cheese. So now I'm going to pick up the $2 and I'm going to plug it back in. I'm actually going to go back into the second equation again because it's just smaller and easier to work with. So I'm going to have 4p plus 10 times 2 is 32. 10 times 2 is 20. So I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. So now I've got 4p equals 12. So that means pepperoni costs $3. Which is actually what we were looking for, because it says how much each pepperoni slice cost. Now, I want to point out all three of these equations we solved using elimination. And what kind of made it easy is that we already started with the same coefficients on either x or y. And number one was super easy because they were already opposites. Today we're going to look at what do you do if they are not already the same. Again, homework is page 24. Write that down. All right, so everyone turn to page 22 and let's take a look at the example. Still, we're going to try to eliminate, cancel out, and what we are going to need to do is we're going to have to use multiplication. So I don't know why these steps are all weird numbered. It says decide which variable you will be able to cancel out by examining the coefficients. You will want to find one that is a multiple of one from the other, or ones that have a low common multiple. I want to remind you, common multiples, like if we were looking at the number 2 and the number 12. 2 and 12 have a common multiple. The multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 10, 12, and then there you go. The common multiple between them is 12. Similarly, and you don't have to write that down, like if you had, I don't know, 3 and 9, it would be 9. You could come up with a bunch of them. One of the things I like to tell students when they are doing elimination problems like this one, where you've got a 1 and a 5, and then a 1 and a negative 2, is look for the ones. Like we have 1x and we have 1y. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply one or both equations to make the coefficients the same number but opposite signs. So when I look at this, 1 and 5, they are both positive and they're not the same number. That's terrible. 1 and negative 2 for the y's, they are not the same number, but they are opposite signs. So because they are already opposite signs, I'm going to choose to eliminate the y's. So this is a negative 2. Think about what does this number need to be right here. What does that number need to be so that they would eliminate? That number needs to be a 2. If this number was a 2, life would be stupendous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this whole equation in parentheses, and I'm going to multiply it by 2. And I'm going to distribute. 1, 2, 3. So 2 times 1x would give me 2x. 2 times 1y would give me 2y. 2 times negative 9 gives me negative 18. And now I'm just going to recopy the second equation. 5x minus 2y equals 32. Add down. 2x plus 5y, I'm sorry, 2x plus 5x is 7x. Oh no. No leaky pens. There we go. 2 minus 2, now the y's cancel, and I end up with 14. So now this is just like the elimination problems we did previously. Divide by 7, x is 2. Yay! Now I'm going to grab my eraser, and I'm just going to erase this mess so I can read these a little easier. And I'm going to look to see which one looks easier to sub back into. Yeah, definitely the first one. So instead of x plus y, I'm going to say 2 plus y equals negative 9. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And I've got y equals negative 11. So my ordered pair for this example is 2, negative 11. So what I want you to do is take a look at the examples below. I'm going to do a lot of them with you, but I'm not going to do every step. We're going to look at I'm going to do, I don't know, a couple. Let's start with number 1. So let's examine the coefficients. We've got 2 and 1. Not the same number, not opposite signs. Then I've got 2, 3, and 2, not the same number, not opposite signs. So now I'm going to say, all right, do I have any of my favorite number 1s? And the answer is yes. Here's the 1. 1x. So this is a 2x. What number does this maroon 1 need to be for the x's to cancel? The maroon 1 needs to be a negative 2. So I'm going to multiply the entire equation here by negative 2. So first we're going to recopy the first equation. 2x plus 3y equals 6. Now we're going to multiply the whole second equation by -2. So we've got -2x minus 4y equals -10. Now we can add down. 3 minus 4 is -1. 4 and -4 divide by -1. Y is 4. So now we're going to plug back in, pick the easier one. I think the second one's actually easier because it's just 1x. That means I won't have to divide. Erase to make it a little prettier. So now let's see. X plus, instead of 2y, I'm going to say 2 times 4 is 5. 2 times 4 is 8. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. And I get x equals -3. So my ordered pair is -3 and 4. All right, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to look at number 2. Let's change it. I don't like that it's m and n. Let's make it x and y. Nah, we can leave it. It's going to be messy otherwise. I want you to examine the coefficients, and I want you to decide what variable we're going to eliminate and what we need to multiply. Okay, so I look at the ends and I think they're a bad idea because they're both positive, and this is a 3 and that's a 2, and that's just yuck. When I look at the m's, I notice this is a 2 and this one's already negative. So I think to myself, what does this number need to be? It needs to be a -2. Switch colors. So I'm going to recopy the first equation. Multiply the oh, sorry, not -2. Mistake! That needs to be a 2. Because it's already -m. So -1 times 2 is -2. Add down gives me 7n equals 14, n equals 2. Now I'll be honest with you, I don't have enough room to plug it back in, so I'm just going to tell you that m equals -1, but you just take the n and plug it back in like we've been doing. I'm going to start you off with a few more, and then you're going to work with your partners. All right. So when we look at number 3, we have some choices to make. What do we want to multiply by? Yeah, well, you got some choices. This is already a negative, so you have a choice. You can either do this by +2, or because this is a 3 and this a is a 1, we could multiply by -3. So you decide what you want to do. Okay, I already have it written like this, so I'm gonna just multiply the first equation by 2. All right, so we've got 3 times 2 is 6a minus 2b equals 4. I'm gonna recopy the other equation, 1a plus 2b equals 3, and let's add down. 6a plus 1a is 7a equals 7, and we end up with a equals 1. Now I'm going to plug back in for this one. I'm actually going to go into the second equation because I think it's easier. I'm going to do it over here. So a is 1 plus 2b equals, there it goes, 3, subtract 1. I get 2b equals 2, so b must be 1. Because these aren't x and y, you can just circle them, that's cool. All right, we're gonna save number 4 for Monday, so just don't scribble it out, okay? But I want you with your groups to finish the rest of the page. I'm gonna put the answers up, and then I want you to turn the page and try the word problems also as a group, writing the equations and solving them. And again, I'll put the answers up on the video, so they'll pop up in a minute. All right, so we're skipping number 4. So go ahead, turn your desks, and work in your group. Okay, so here are the answers to number 2 and number 3 on page 23. I don't have the answer to the first one. Or not page 23, sorry. Page, that's the 23, but it's really, no, it's page 23. So there's the answers to 2 and 3. Again, homework tonight is page 24.